Good afternoon. Welcome to the Midday Mull for Tuesday, the 1st of July. Scary thought that we're into the second half of the year already. But God is with us and we have His Word. Today reading Joshua chapter 3 as we follow McShane's reading scheme. And in the chapter, it's about Joshua telling the people to prepare to cross the Jordan into the promised land. And he says that they must follow the priests who will take the Ark of the Covenant, and they will cross on dry ground through the river. Reading from verse 5. Now the Jordan is in flood all during harvest. Yet, as soon as the priests who carried the ark reached the Jordan, and their feet touched the water's edge, the water from upstream stopped flowing. It piled up in a heap, a great distance away, at a town called Adam in the vicinity of Zarethan, while the water flowing down to the Sea of the Arabah, that is the Dead Sea, was completely cut off. So the people crossed over opposite Jericho. Now that is a passage that is quite remarkable, and a number of people have commented, if the river's in flood, then that explains it. So this isn't particularly miraculous. The flooding of the river undercut the bank some distance away at this place where it says it piled up, and there was a collapse of the bank and a rock slide into the river, cut off the flow, and that explains it. That wasn't a miracle, perfectly natural and normal. And when I was teaching at the school, the boys would often come up with things like that, and my point would always be, the miracle wasn't in what happened, but in when it happened. Yes, there might be a perfectly normal and natural and logical explanation for what happened, but why did it happen at that very point? That it didn't happen 3 weeks before or 2 weeks later after the people had struggled across on rubber tubes or whatever, that it happened right then. And sometimes we think that when God works, it'll be inexplicable. It'll be what contemporary world would describe as magic. And so often God doesn't. He works in perfectly normal, natural ways, just at exactly the right time. And I've never had any great magical things happen to me, but there have been many instances where you look back and you say, why was it that I never normally go to that coffee shop, and I happened to be in the coffee shop at the exact same time that so-and-so walked in, and that was a meeting that God used in remarkable ways. And that was God working. Nothing about that was magical. It was all perfectly normal, but it was when it happened that was remarkable. And so my prayer is that we will see God doing amazing things that we cannot explain. That's wonderful. But that those things that we can explain, we will still see God's hand in them. And we will recognize God working in us and through us and with us in perfectly normal ways, but in ways that serve His purposes, work for our good and for His glory. Be blessed.